So we are at the beginning, well, shall we say the end of the beginning of Brexit. That is where we really are at this moment in time. And with January the 1st fast approaching like a meteor, like a bullet from a gun, like a meteor from the sky, it is going to be an absolutely fantastic murder, and it's going to be an absolutely fantastic crater site, because those are two things that are going to happen. First of all, the Brexiteers' fantasy of Brexit is going to get murdered as soon as the sun dawns on Britain on January the 1st. That is of no doubt. Not only that, the meteor crash is going to be the absolutely, very foreseen consequences of troubles at the border, and those knock-on consequences it will mean for businesses in the UK. It is going to be an absolute catastrophe of the government's own making. To quote Spitting Image, the government has essentially governed themselves into this quagmire and has no idea how they're going to govern themselves out of it. Not only did Boris Johnson essentially chase away pretty much all the competent people in the Tory party, we're already hearing rumours that people now want to try and go for what they call a reset and try and reset the cabinet by getting some of these useless people out. But they don't realise the whole reason they're in there in the first place was because they won't give Boris any trouble, and because they're yes men, and because of their very hard ultra Brexiteers who will just do essentially as they're told. They weren't elected on their merit. Otherwise, Gavin Williamson would be nowhere near the cabinet at all. But that's besides the point. We've got back to the fantasies of the Brexiteers, because sooner or later, the lie that is Brexit will have to be confronted, and it will have to be confronted in a very obvious way, because after next year, the Brexiteers can no longer lie, say that it's just Project Fear, or point out that, oh, Brexit hasn't happened yet, or, oh, Brexit's happened, look how well we've been doing. No, no guys, next year you have to take ownership, full ownership, and boy oh boy, are there going to be some eye-watering moments going on. So, this also relates to the US election as well, because that has been another, shall we say, kick to the curb for Brexit. So this comes from The Guardian, and it is with Biden elected, a no-deal Brexit would make Britain a pariah. It can't happen. With stubborn folly, this government pursues its only trademark policy: get Brexit done. And damn any consequences. Never mind the tectonic shift in global politics that has just shaken the ground beneath their feet. Yesterday in the House of Lords, it was still trying to push through its international law-breaking bill that could turn Britain into a rogue state. It knew it faced a monumental rebellion from its own side after the last Lords debate, led by the former Chief Justice, Lord Judge, the ex-Tory leader Michael Howard, and the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Webley, all lined up to block the breaking of international law in the Internal Markets Bill that will renege on EU withdrawal agreement and its Northern Irish Protocol. Politics is mercurial, with Donald Trump now the loser. For now, a somewhat spent force. Boris Johnson, Michael Gove, Dominic Raab, Rishi Sunak, Dominic Cummings, although now he's gone, Nigel Farage and their Brexit band now look like an abandoned passengers on a flimsy life craft cut loose from a sinking mothership. Joe Biden memorably nailed Johnson as Trump's physical and emotional clone. Unforgettably, and also unforgotten, is that the fawning picture that of Gove grinning with thumbs up with Trump, with Rupert Murdoch, and mentor to both men. lurking in the background. Murdoch jumped the Trump ship at the very last moment. He always has a rats when power wants. And John Major, in his autobiography, said he saw the power evaporate the day Murdoch dumped him. If the old monster turned towards Labour, as he did in 1996, only once to Tony Blair's imminent victory was certain, the failure of Brexit will be the only reason why. The Murdoch empire was key to that vote, which tore Britain apart, and its results are about to prove catastrophic and prosperity sapping, as Project Fear warned in 2016. Already, public opinion is swinging against it. Asked in hindsight, do you think Britain was right or wrong to vote leave? People say wrong by 54% to 46. Hammering on with the Internal Markets Bill is supposed to be a show of Brexiteers' defiance before more weeks of critical EU negotiations. But this is the last hurrah. Their Brexit balloon is deflating fast because no deal and breaking the Northern Irish Protocol has now become an absolute improbability. Biden says, "Ireland will be written on my soul" when he dies. He was a key player in the peace process, inviting Gerry Adams to the US against British wishes, proving to be a pivotal point in the IRA turning away from violence. Reneging on the Northern Ireland Protocol would now make the UK a pariah. So it won't happen. There will be a deal. Those law-breaking clauses will be abandoned. The UK will promise that goods entering Northern Ireland will meet EU standards, so the Irish border stays open. The coming humiliation will be eye-watering. The unresolved questions go right to the heart of Brexit itself. Disagreements over fisheries may be fixed with a 5-year transition, but the other issues are fundamental. Irate Brexiteers are right to protest that there's no point in giving up our EU place if signing a trade deal means obeying their food, environmental, work and animal welfare standards. No point at all. Well, ditto. Why submit ourselves to their refereeing courts, ensuring a level playing field for businesses' subsidies without a voice in those rules? Why indeed? These are truly the end days, when Johnson must finally confront his own lies. There is no oven ready and easiest deal in history. A deal that will somehow concede the damaging pointless of this whole fiasco. The EU will be courteous, but no face savers can hide the crumbling capitulation. And it won't end there. The deal will be thin. Only the slightest of easing the damage will be fast unfolding. Waiting 4 long years to prepare our importers, exporters, manufacturers, hauliers, the professionals, the financiers, who still don't know what rules, tariffs and quotas, licenses, certificates, data or paperwork they're required. Government webinars just list possible options. The National Audit Office warned last week that our borders faced a risk of widespread disruption. The Tory-controlled Local Government Association just sent up a flare as well. Councils with ports are unprepared. With frontline staff focused on COVID, Portsmouth's leader, Gerald van der Jackson, tells me his anxieties. His council owns a thriving port, which imports over 65% of Britain's bananas and over 9,000 racehorses and turbine blades from the Isle of Wight, and sees hundreds of lorries a day. But there's only room for 15 trucks between the motorway and the dock. And the government has warned him that up to 70% of companies aren't ready. We know 50% don't speak English, so explaining is hard. The slightest delay means drivers will have to stop and sleep. The plan is to stack lorries on one side of a dual carriageway near Winchester. Vernon Jackson says the Channel Islands have no bakery. Their food shelves will be empty in 48 hours if we delay. The worries about gridlock, and he worries about gridlock in the city too. There will be no way through for the Navy, the university, and still worse, the Queen Alexandra Hospital. What should the government have done to help? We need new freight gates and port facilities. How can that not be ready when we don't even know what we'll get, or even if we'll get any funds? So why so late? The killer for the Tories will be if a widespread view takes hold that their Brexit was a terrible error. But without doubt, they will be charged with inexcusable incompetence, wasting 4 years and still bungling it right down to the wire. Brexit and COVID will merge into similar tales of of complete breathtaking incompetence, and tilt the global political axis has just tipped against them. And and it's not just going to be Portsmouth, by the way, but that is definitely one of the biggest red flags ever, that their local Conservative association, who do own ports, have said, we've got a problem. We've got a massive problem here. Why aren't you helping us? Because the government hasn't helped them in a single bit. But once again, this just goes through this typical comedy of errors we have seen before. There is an obvious error that we know is coming. The government ignores it. The disaster happens, and yet the government tries to react and then fails to react in time because, once again, they didn't see it coming, even though everyone else saw it coming. You know, like I say, it's going to be one fantastic train crash. It really is. And we've warned them. We've warned them since 2016, even before the referendum, and even afterwards, where we were saying, hey, if you're going to Brexit, these are a list of problems you've got to fix. You haven't fixed them. Only for when we brought up these problems to say, oh, you're just trying to stop Brexit. And I said, we're not really, but these are the problems that you aren't fixing. If you want to Brexit, you might want to take a look at these problems. And hey, I've always been on the side that Brexit is always a terrible idea. So the more this just goes wrong, the more I'm proven right, and the more everyone else who was right to say that Brexit was a terrible idea just gets proven more right. And once again, we've said it time and time and time again on this channel. When Brexit meets reality, reality always wins. So with that said, thanks for watching. Please do feel free, if you would like to support the channel, to take a look to my Patreon down below, and as well as a one-off donation link. And thank you to people that do support me that way. Also, do remember to like and share this video. It does help out the channel. And we'll see you all next time.